Well, again, first of all, we're coming off a game last night where it's nice to see us swing the bats well, and something that we've been working on and making some adjustments with our hitters after the Florida State series. So it's good to see some of the things that we've been doing is kind of coming, to fruition, I guess. But another ACC series, which basically we've got every weekend. Duke, who's coming in, maybe not playing as well as they came into the season, ranked in a lot of polls and highly touted, and for whatever reasons, I don't know. They're not playing up to where they thought they might be. But having said that, still dangerous. We need to make sure we're playing well. I'd like to think going into the series we are playing a little bit better, and we've won 4 out of 5, I guess, on the road, and we haven't done a good job at home, and we need to make sure we do a better job of that. And that's something I know I'll talk about with the players today, but we need to take care of business here at home and just hopefully continue to build off of what we've been doing offensively. Thought we've played pretty well defensively over the stretch too, as well, other than one game at Virginia. We played very well last night defensively, I thought. And, of course, the pitching obviously is always going to be important. So big weekend, and we just got to be ready to play come tomorrow.
Yeah, Coach, a lot of guys had hits, but good to see Adrian and Alex drive in runs. That's got to be good for your team.
Yeah, it is. Adrian, Dell has been just doing okay, but we all know he can be so much more capable than being okay for him. He's hovering around 300 batting average, and, just hadn't quite gotten it going the way he can. And he's a guy that I know we've spoken with, myself and Lopes, and have worked with, and, getting him back to just hitting the ball all over the field, which is what his strength is. He's a pure hitter. He's a bat the ball skill guy. He's not a power home run guy, although he'll hit them, and he'll hit his fair share at college and at the next level. But he's a line drive, flat swing that hits the ball over the field. And that's what he did last night. He hit bullets all over the place and, of course, knocked in 4 runs, and had 3 runs he scored, knocked in 4 RBIs. So, and Terrell, too, is a guy we know we got to get going as well. And he's shown spurts of it, but we need him to be more consistent. And, again, we need to build off it. We're still not there, but you want to get as many guys in the lineup going as possible that are, on all cylinders. And that's what we're trying to strive to do with everybody. So it was good to see us. A lot of guys hit some balls really hard last night.
Why do you think they're not doing as well at home? Could it be, not as many fans and stuff? And also, I was watching, obviously, as I watched that game last night, I was thinking, oh my God, 21 runs. I know sometimes baseball people are superstitious. Yeah. It's a lot of runs. Would you rather have them spread it out a little? You know what I mean?
No, I mean, obviously you want to keep it going as much as you can, and don't think like that. But in terms of the home field, our play, I don't know. We haven't played well at home. Why haven't we played home? The fans not being here, that might have more of an effect on the other team. It shouldn't have an effect on us the way we play. But the bottom line is, the way I look at it, we had one series against Florida State that we want to forget. It's a never-ending nightmare that you want to wish that it was a dream, but it wasn't. But that's fine, as long as we own it and we understand from it, learn from it, which is what we're trying to do. And at the end of the day, the team that plays the best at the end of the season is going to be the team that wins it in this sport. That's the way it always works. Baseball is a long season. A lot of things happen. And as bad as that weekend was, we have to turn the page, again, learn from it and grow. And that's something we're working on striding to do. We lost 3 games that weekend. And then we lost 2 out of 3 to Virginia Tech, which, we weren't playing very well at that time. We just a stretch there where we weren't playing well. So I'm not too concerned about it. I mean, I'm not saying it's 9 games. I think we're 4 and 5 or whatever it is. We've played more games. I don't know, David would know this, but I think we might play more games on the road than we have at home so far. It's close anyway. So we just need to get, we're playing good baseball right now. We need to build off of that. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing this weekend.
I've got two questions for you. Just first off, Jake Garland and Jordan Dubberly, two pitchers that have really come along and made an impact in your starting rotation. Just what have you seen from them, really stepping up and elevating their game?
Yeah. Well, I'll start with Jake because he threw last night and he's been, amazing. Just ground balls. That's what comes to my mind. Throws a lot of ground balls. He's not walking anybody. He's making guys swing the bat. He's got the sink. He's got his changeup working. He's commanding the zone with his fastball. But the main thing is he's getting a lot of guys to hit ground balls. I think they hit 12 maybe in the 6 innings he threw last night. He got a couple double plays. And so, been very, very effective with him. I think really other than maybe one outing, I mean, he's been really, really good for us. And it helps too when you have that midweek guy that can throw deep into the game. And we've had some games where we scored a lot of runs and you don't have to use up too much of your bullpen for the weekend, and so we have everybody pretty much fresh. In terms of Dubberly, it's a guy that again, I think I've said this when we recruited him, he was a guy that we felt like could be I keep using Van Bell, but there are similarities to the guys in terms of their velocity, not overpowering, but can really command the fastball, has a good breaking ball, which Van Bell did, and has a good changeup, which Van Bell did, and is able to command it and throw it just out of the zone to get guys to chase. And that's what Jordan has done. And he's just gotten better and better. And again, another guy, I'm repeating myself, that came off of surgery prior to him coming to Miami. We signed him and then he had surgery, but he's just coming out, over a year now with that. And his velocity's kind of gone up a little bit. I don't know if it's going to go up much more because he's already getting up into the low 90s. He's high 80s, low 90s, again, like Van Bell was. But just he's a guy that obviously has earned a position that he's in right now. So he will go again, obviously, on Sunday for us.
And then also, I know just from the bullpen, that's been an area of not necessarily concern, but just trying to piece it together to get to Carson Palmquist on the back end. I noticed Ben Wenger hasn't pitched since March 12th. Is he injured or kind of what's his status right now?
He had to he did have a minor surgery. He had to clean out some floating little chips in there, which was good. Everything went excellent. He was a little locked up. He didn't have good extension on his throwing arm. And that happens in our sport. That happens with a lot of guys, even position. If you looked at every baseball's arm, there's something's going to be in there with the throwing motion. It's such a unusual motion for an athlete to do. But his got locked up where he didn't have much extension. So he went in and Dr. Kaplan was able to clean it out, and the surgery went excellent. He's actually way ahead in terms of his flexibility. His extension is really good. And so I can't give a timetable. I know, I think he just got his sutures pulled out yesterday or the day before. And so he'll see the doctors, and we're hoping we'll get him back soon, but it'll be at least another 3-4 weeks before we see anything from him. I think it'll be 2 weeks from the next Tuesday. Will be 2 weeks from his surgery. So it's going to take a little time, but not as much time as you might think. So we're hoping to get him back 4-6 weeks, somewhere in there, maybe the latter probably.
Yeah, Coach, I know you all were knocking the ball all over the place on the other side of Miami last night, but is there anything else you would say the team is stressing today in preparation for what you hope to be another series win this weekend?
I think just building off of what we're trying to do here. And again, I won't go into all the specifics of it, but just we got to have a better approach at the plate, and we're still working on it. But that's one of the things I think that woke us up against Florida State. And, we just very poor approaches with all of our hitters, and it's something we had to clean up. And it's a work in progress, but we're doing a better job of it. I see good signs of it, positive signs, but we need to build off of that. So we'll be working on that in practice today. Baseball's such a repetition thing. You're obviously always going to be working on things you're normally working on, and then and kind of building off of that. So there's nothing in specific other than my message to the players is definitely we want to set the tone for the series tomorrow on Friday. Always win that first series is important. And of course, mentioning about playing, we want to play more consistently and better at home, because ideally I'd like to be at home. I told the players I think it was last night after the game, I have a dream that we hopefully play well enough that we host here and that maybe the pandemic has opened up where fans can come to the ballpark. And that might be wishful thinking, but I'll tell you what, I'll be upset if we're on the road and all of a sudden they open up crowds and it's packed house and we're on the road somewhere else and we could have been at our place. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it could. We don't know. But we need to be playing well. The bottom line is if we're hosting, that means we're playing well and we're in a good position. So, and I've talked about it. I haven't talked about it much about hosting, but we are starting to talk. We're almost at the, after this weekend, we'll be at the basically at the halfway point. We got one game to make up, but we'll be at the halfway point, and we put ourselves in a position where we got to work our way back up if we want to have that opportunity to host a regional and a super regional, which means you need to be in the top 8 to do that.
Thanks, David. Gino, just 2 quick ones for you. Daniel Fetterman now in the bullpen, just his role and how much that helps your bullpen in terms of just length that he can provide. And then obviously, since you've taken over the program, you guys have really controlled midweek games, which was a problem the couple of years before you took over. Just the importance of winning those games and obviously last night dominating and, taking care of business.
Well, in regards to Fetterman, you're right. It does. It lengthens it up when he comes in because he can go an extended period more so than most of those guys in the pen because he's been able to do that. So his role will be that as such where, you're looking at if a game we feel like we got a chance, close game, or we're in the lead, or even maybe just down a little bit, we might bring him in early. And again, like you saw, I think Virginia there, we kept him and let him extend. And, he took it to the, basically, I think he went 4 innings, if I'm not mistaken, in the game that Dubberly threw. So, he's a guy that's really going to help put some depth into the bullpen. And so that's going to certainly help us. And in regards to what was the other question? I'm sorry, Josh.
Just the midweek games. Obviously, that was a struggle in 2017 and 2018, kept you guys out of the postseason. And since you've taken over, you guys are 17-4 in those games. And you just talked a little while ago about hosting regionals, and obviously that's so important to you saw it in 2019 where every game matters and every game can be the difference of hosting or not hosting. Just taking care of business in those midweek games. How important is it? You
just answered the question the way I would answer it. I was very aware of 17 and 18 and the fact that we didn't play well in midweeks, got a losing record if you looked at the 2 years, and I couldn't put a finger on it other than we played horrible. I just no life, no energy, and sometimes those midweek games can do that to you. When we did have crowds, because those midweek games don't have much crowds, you're playing at 6 o'clock, you're in the middle of the school week, and your mind's on other things. And I don't think we were focused and ready to play in those games. So it was stressed from day one in 19, how important it was because it kept us out of the tournament. And we didn't have good years, but if we would have played well in those midweek games, if you remember in 17 and 18, we were that team that was just on the outside looking in. I think we were like one of the 4 teams in one of the years that was just missed getting in. And we're talking about a streak that was an NCAA record for 44 years. So that was brought up in 19, and we did a good job. And I didn't know our record until you just said it over the last 3 years. But that's the way it should be. That's the way we need to be. And it will help us down the stretch. We only have 8 of them this year, where in the past you have 14 midweek games. This year we have 8. But we need to make sure we take care of those games because it will help us down the road, like you said, when they start looking at tournament teams and who's hosting and who's not. Obviously, we need to play well in our conference too as well. But the midweeks have been emphasized, and I have been happy how we have played in the midweek games for the most part.